Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's the Pest and Lawn Ginja. Today, we go over my review of chipper shredders. Fall is finally here. The trees have stopped growing, but a lot of them look like they've had a bad hair day and they're due for a trim. Same thing with the bushes and the shrubs, and we can finally do that well-desired fall cleanup in preparation for springtime. Now, most of us are probably just going to try to throw this away or pay somebody to haul it all off, but what if I told you there's a huge missed opportunity? Now, these plants, the shrubs, the trees, they've been growing the entire summer, but in all actuality, what they've really been doing is mining trace minerals and micronutrients from the ground. Now, commonly, these micronutrients are in and of the same micronutrients have been mined that the plants desire in return. So putting them back down into the ground is the best thing you can do. Now, the biggest problem that we face is in their current state, just being big branches, it doesn't release the minerals back to the soil fast enough for the plants to take advantage of it. And therein lies the question, how do we do that? Well, luckily for you guys, I've already done the research and I've found some products that were fairly inexpensive that do a good job, and I want to put them head to head to see which one is the best fit. Now, the convenient thing about having a chipper shredder is there's always somebody in the neighborhood that is pruning or trimming a tree, especially in the springtime and or the fall time. Now, this is a good way to reduce, reuse, and recycle the wood that's already there. And a lot of us, like myself, are already paying good money to have somebody deliver what's already in the backyard. Now, you can't have a chipper shredder review without a ton of wood that is absolutely unnecessary. But lucky for me, my flower beds are really screaming for some brand new mulch. So I'm going to use these chipper shredders to completely replenish what I don't have. Now for the big moment, the unveiling. On the left, we have the red SunJoe 602E. Then we have the green SunJoe 603E, followed by the Earthwise shredder chipper. Now, I chose these models simply because they had the best reviews on Amazon. You can find the links in the description of the video, and there was a reason for it. Each one of these are high-powered residential models. Now, there's a few differences between each one of these, but for the most part, people have been very satisfied with these units, but there hasn't been a video that explains the differences between each one of them. Now, this SunJoe 602E that I got in red was the cheapest available because of the color, which was nice. I really want to see how this performs. But as you can see, it's just got an on-off switch, a little circuit breaker, a motor. There's not much to it, and it's got a nice paddle feeder to it. Now, like the other units, it runs at 15 amps, and it will handle a branch 1.57 inches wide through the hopper. Now, the SunJoe 603E is quite the upgrade. This thing weighs about 31 pounds, almost twice as much as the red one does. And it just feels good. Like, I'm really excited to get into this machine. Now, it's got a gear set where you can go forward or back on the left, and then the start and stop on the right. Now, SunJoe went totally wild on this thing and upgraded you with a retractable bag for free. Dun dun dun. And they also included some cup holders too. Because, you know, drinking goes really well with mulching, but I'm sure it has to do more with hydration, you know? Now, the SunJoe 603 is a beast. It'll handle branches up to 1.73 inches wide without a problem. And last but not least is the Earthwise chipper shredder. Right off the bat, you can see it's got a bucket for a catch system at the bottom, and it's got a little hopper in the top. Pretty simple device, on off with the circuit breaker if it gets stuck. And all these devices are pretty similar. However, the Earthwise will handle the biggest branches at 1.75 inches. I don't know, guys. What's it going to be? The SunJoe 602, the 603, or the Earthwise? Price-wise, what I'll tell you is this one is the cheapest, the 602, followed by the Earthwise, and then our more expensive one is the SunJoe 603. Now, weight-wise, the 603 is the heaviest by far. And just looking down in, it'll take a larger diameter branch at 1.73 inches. And these ones are about 1.5 inches, the Earthwise and the SunJoe 602. So I'm really interested to see on how this is gonna work out. Now there's a couple of things I want you guys to understand. These are residential chipper shredders. These are not the big hoppers that you can just throw in a log. It's not gonna work that way. You do have to kind of break down your branches a little bit more than as if you were gonna have, say, a $600–700 chipper mulcher machine. So therein lies the opportunity. So what I've done is I've grabbed all these branches over here, and I'm gonna go through and just kind of chop them down into different categories and different sizes and see how well we can feed these into the machine. These machines run at 15 amp, and you have to, this is a must, buy a 12 gauge extension cord, whether it be 50 feet or 100 feet. It has to be rated at 12 gauge. Now, safety is number one, so you've got to have a nice sturdy pair of gloves that aren't going to get tangled in the wood, and also goggles. This is my small range pile. It's just got twigs that aren't super big. Then I've got my medium pile. These get to about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick, and then I've got my 1 inch pile. And then I've got my shrub and debris pile, and then my organics. Now I'm gonna use these at the very end just to feed the hopper, just to see if it'll just do it on its own or if we're gonna have problems. Now we're gonna start with this 602E, that's the red SunJoe. Now I'm using my pile, which is the small twig pile. Now I made kind of an error. I thought it was gonna be easier to work the smallest stuff first, but you can see the twigs kind of go every which way, and it makes it difficult to feed in the hopper. However, the SunJoe did a good job. It grabs it, it pulls it down the way that it's supposed to, and more importantly, it's shredding and chipping everything. Now we move on to the Earthwise, which I have in number 2. It also did a really good job. It was pretty smooth. I won't know the results because it's got a self-contained hopper area at the bottom that catches everything and makes it difficult to see what's going on. But moving on to the 603E, this thing is a beast. I mean, it was pulling the branches much easier compared to the 602E and the Earthwise, which I was pretty happy with. Now, everything was going okay until the leaves started getting stuck in the hopper, and I really just had to get in there and just kind of get them to pull down, and then it started chipping the way that it's supposed to. We're shredding, yeah buddy. First impressions, sound. The SunJoe was the 602, definitely the loudest. Next was the Earthwise, a little bit quieter, but the 603 SunJoe, man, that thing is quiet. Let's go take a look at our results. Pretty happy with the 602, actually. Did a decent job shredding and chipping. Really fine. Kind of shocked at how well this was performing. The one thing I didn't like is it would grab twigs, and it kind of backlashes on the fingers. Doesn't feel the best. Now the nice thing about this, I was a little leery if I'd like this contained, but it really does a good job with the mess. You can see neither one of these machines are mulching leaves really well. And however, this is performing on a chipping and shredding level just the same as the 602. Really happy with it, very comparable. Really fine chips. Now, kind of shocked when we got over here. I made some adjustments on the counterplate, but you can see it does a good job chipping, just not a great job shredding. Most of these are not shredded, but they're just chipped. So we got the little twigs done. I have to give round number 1 to the Earthwise. It did really well at both chipping and shredding, and there's a lot less leaf debris than the 602 SunJoe, which just tells me that it's shredding the leaves a little bit better. Pass number 2. You can see the SunJoe 602, it does a good job. I mean, the chips are mulched, they're shredded. I've got no complaints over this little machine, and it's the Price Shopper Price Saver device. But you can see a clear difference in the mulching ability of the Earthwise. No camera tricks, no nothing. This just went straight into the bucket, and it's mulching and chipping. Now when we get over to the 603, we run into the same problem where it's chipping, it's not mulching. These make great for a campfire, so if that's what you're looking for, this might be your device. But as for shredding and chipping and mulching capabilities, again guys, gotta hand it to the Earthwise. Kind of shocked right now, but close second, steady Eddie, the SunJoe 602. If I were to put it to ease of use, it's gonna be that SunJoe 603, the big daddy. It's quiet, I've got no problems with it, other than the fact that just the box says that it's both a chipper and a shredder. Next in line, ease of use, believe it or not, the SunJoe did a great job on this one. I have to give it to the 602. And then the Earthwise, the feeding capabilities of them all are different. The one thing I wanted to point out though is this little bucket. I thought it was going to be more of like a sales gimmick than anything, but it just gives you a sense of security, like everything's going to be okay and your fingers aren't going to get chopped off, which is kind of nice when you're dealing with these machines. But let's go to step number 3. Let's check the larger diameters. The nice thing about these machines is the opening on the tops of each one of them is pretty sized for the diameter that's capable of chipping and shredding. Start off with the 602. You can see it does a great job, man. This little cheap mulcher shredder. And the bigger diameter we get, the better it looks. I mean, this is pretty quality stuff. I'm pretty stoked. Moving on to the Earthwise, no surprise here. Very similar to the 602 that we have. Man, I gotta say, these look like they're cut a little bit better, but compared to the 602, I mean, let's put them direct comparison here. I mean, these are finer. They just are. And ease of use and everything, they tie for sure. And then moving on over to the SunJoe 603. Again, it does this massive, chunky, pelletized chip. It's definitely not shredded in my opinion. Okay, so this is a little shocking even for me, but shredding capabilities, I give it to the 602. I think it fed better into the machine. The Earthwise, it's just consistent. That's kind of the nice thing about it. But the SunJoe 603, I'm kind of disappointed. I thought it was going to be better. It struggled feeding through the machine. I've played with the adjustments, trying to get it dialed in a little bit better, and it's just not performing the same as the cheaper two. So next up on the list, I have this pile of cherry wood, and I really want to see how well it organically feeds. That's the only point to this exercise. Now this wood is, it's about 3-4 weeks old, so it's a little bit drier. I anticipate we're gonna get some good results, but let's get into the nitty gritty. Man, I wish you guys could smell this one. It smells like candy. So good. The 602 is still performing. I'm like shocked. Yeah, we have all these little sticks that got bypassed, but I mean, they're only gonna go so big, right? The mulching and chipping. Moving on to the Earthwise, no surprise here. Performed a little bit cleaner than the 602. Still smells so good. It smells like cherry Laffy Taffy. You can see there's a few sticks in here. Not quite as many as the 602, but we have them. And then the 603. Oh man, you can see that it just does what it does, right? It makes chips. But they're not even small. I mean, they're chunky. So if this is the look that you're going for, It's a great device, and you can see it breaks up in my hands pretty well. I mean, it's really smashing it, but not what I expected. Smell-o-vision. It'd be so great, man. Willy Wonka was onto something. But my top two choices are the SunJoe 602 and the Earthwise. The only reason why I'm going to give it to the Earthwise is because it fed so easy. It kind of just grabbed it, pulled it down, where I had to babysit the 602 a little bit more. And again, the 603, it struggles. The motor kind of bogs down. It doesn't really mulch or shred as much as it chips. And I'm kind of shocked at that little machine. I honestly thought it was gonna blow everybody apart. But so next up on the list, I wanted to see how well it mashes down organic material from my bushes and my shrubs over here. So I've got some evergreen pine bushes, and I've also got some bushes, I have no clue what they are, but they've got bigger leaves to it. Just kind of want to see what's going on. My expectations aren't high for any of these machines, but I'll be interested to see how it works out. SunJoe 602 did a pretty good job shredding these pines, and you can see where it gets into the branches. It does a good job. We come over here to the Earthwise. Steady Eddie, man. Did a little bit better job mulching the leaves, and it really mixed in the pine really well. Come over here to the this guy. Yeah, I don't know, Joe. I think you might have gotten too much sun. It's just not working. You can see the leaves of the pines are almost fully intact. Didn't really do much at all. I mean, it chipped a little bit here and there. It's just not a great job. When we come to the bushes section of it, again, it does a good job chipping. I would dare say out of the three with the bushes, this 603 did the best by far. You can see the Earthwise still a little chunky when it comes to the bushes, and then the 602, you get an F. It didn't do jack. So I spent a lot of time shredding and chipping and mulching and shredding and chipping and mulching, just trying to get to know these machines. What I found out is the SunJoe 603, it is heavy. It's like 31 pounds. I thought it was going to be the clear winner here, but to be honest with you, I wasn't impressed. I went through all the settings. Yes, you can set the counter depth. There's a few extra parts that you can put in. You can hit the reverse button, but if you stay within the manufactured specifications, you're not even going to need to worry about the reverse button. And I found it a total waste of time. And I'm not one of those guys that likes the chunky, chipped bark. It's not my thing, or the mulch or the chips. It's not my thing. And about the only thing it did really well on was the bushes with the leaves, and I was kind of shocked on that too. Now, when it comes down to the difference between the SunJoe 602, the red one that I have, and the Earthwise, man, oh man, that's a tough debate. At the end of the day, for overall performance, the Earthwise did better. I didn't have problems with any of these machines, but I did stick within the manufacturer's specifications. I had a ruler on me. I made sure that I didn't get things that were going to be too big to get stuck in there. Had no problems, but at the end of the day, the Earthwise performed better. Now, is that a justification for the price difference between the two? I'll leave that up to you guys. I did find that the drawer on the Earthwise, it kept things really nice and clean, and I expected that to be a big I didn't think I was gonna like it, in other words, but I ended up liking it, and it keeps things clean. So at the end of the day, the Ginja is gonna stick with the Earthwise. It's a better deal for me. It's a time saver. It fed into the machine better, and it shredded and mulched better than the 602. However, if you're a miser through and through, and you don't care that it's gonna be 80% of the job, and you don't care about spending the extra time cleaning, 602, it's a great device. If you guys have any questions or concerns, hit me up in the comments. Love to help you out. Until next time, guys, the Pest and Lawn Ginja. See ya.
All right, son. You know what all this is? You know what this is?
Debris?
No, it's a crime scene. There's shredded limbs everywhere.
That's retarded.
Oh.